Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And seeing as this is 3MB, we're proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres at Handsworth. They're still offering that amazing deal of 50% off your MOT when you let them know that you're a Rambler. Call them now on 0114 322 4446. Thank you to VMB Auto Centres for their continued support of the Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is the 3 Mardy Blade. Look at this. Wrong side, but beautiful name tag there. I'm still working on this. It might not be a finished article. We'll wait and see. Thank you to everybody that tuned into our Club World Cup show last night with Statman Jack. We always end up talking. It was the World Finals of the Club World Cup competition. I know it's not the biggest competition in the world, but obviously they've chucked a load of money at it. We always end up talking Sheffield United in there. So thank you to everyone that joined us. I've really enjoyed having some new faces on the channel that aren't normally a part of things that were over on Behind the Ramble. We are head down and sort of working hard to work out the scheduling for the next couple of weeks because I am away on holiday from Monday. I need to make sure I will be going live and things like that still, but I want to stay married, so we're just going to wait and see how that works out in terms of how I can schedule and plan things in, maybe get a view from the mountain on there if we're a little bit lucky and things like that. So things will be ticking over with the channel nicely, and I want a full schedule in terms of how we're going to get the content out to you. So thank you very much for that and sticking with us through these teething times. We're a little bit late tonight. I do apologise. We have had some connection issues, we'll say. Man Mountain, I can see working hard in the background to hook himself up. So I will continue to look at him. I wish you could see him. I'm not going to bring him on screen because it's not fair. But there is a lot of scrambling going on screen, so it's quite funny. So we are here tonight to talk about Sheffield United and the transfers, or the nondescript transfers at the moment as they stand, because we have not really moved forward since the last time us 3 Mardy Blades got together to talk about it. Vinny Souza has gone. I don't know if he'd actually gone at the time we were last on or not, but he was definitely going. We knew all about it. And Tyler Bindon was in. So with Tyler Bindon coming in, that's great. That's a good signing. I really like it. Some are a little bit unsure because they haven't seen much of him. I really like it as a signing. We talked about that last time. One of the questions I were sort of considering last night on stream was, if we've now got Tyler Bindon in coming to play, and I think he is coming to play, you've got to get a loan in to play. I know it didn't really work out that way last season, but I want your thoughts on Tyler Bindon coming in, probably as certainly choice number 1 or 2. You would think that I would assume that Jack Robinson drops out because he can play a left centre half, can Bindon. But Anel might drop out too. Are we then in the same conundrum as we are with the strikers, where if we've got 3 decent strikers at the level and we may consider that we've now got 3 decent centre halves, are we now in a position where it's going to be really tough to it's going to be tricky to fit a sort of superstar in? So if we can't go top of the class. We brought in Tom up front, for example. We brought in Tom Cannon for 10 million quid. We're not going to go into the market now and bring in another striker for another 10 million quid, are we? Paul Mountain just trying to get himself on and sorted out. Yes, we can hear you, pal. I can hear you anyway. Nobody else on stream can. It's good to see. And now that the Man Mountain is ready, I'm going to bring him on. It's Paul the Man. He may not be on screen straight away, but I will scramble to get him on as soon as we can. Paul the Man Mountain, everybody.
This is the view from the mountain with a heart so pure it's astounding. Man Mountain, strong and true. What a man, what a view.
Someone.
He's here, look. He's here. Can you hear me, mate?
Just about, mate, yeah. Can you-
Oh, this is a lot better than last time. And look at his nameplate as well. Look how nice that looks. Can you? Are we all right, mate? You were really struggling beforehand, weren't you?
Yeah, so you're plugged into the modem now, so fingers crossed that'll...
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
It's normal, so that's all right.
Night and day, mate. Night and day. What we have found is that now I've got my side of things sorted out in terms of the new system's okay. We're up and running. We know what we're doing. It turns out it pulls that much bandwidth, whatever bandwidth is. I think it's like energy that the internet needs. It then struggles with people.
Mate, don't blind us with all this technical jargon.
Listen. I'm not gonna boggle everybody's minds with my technical knowledge. I'm just gonna lay it out as simply as I can.
It's like internet food. You need to.
Well, you don't just come here for football, mate. You come here to learn as well. So that's what I'm talking about. It is energy for the internet is bandwidth, and a man who I can hear absolutely laughing his head off. So let's get him in as well. Dave the Nose.
Dave the Nose, he really knows where the wind, I know whispers blow. Smelly brain, he's in the know. Dave the Nose steals the show.
Dave the Nose, he really knows. Dave, what's bandwidth?
Are we on? Is it on? Have we put it on?
Hey, not my end this time. Not my end this time.
On your end? What? That we're not on? Or we are on? But we don't
Hey,
know if we're on.
hey! I thought a magician never revealed his secrets. What's all that about?
It's all right.
Throwing me under the bus.
I found the internet here. I'm just going to repair it. And
It needs more energy.
Need some more food for the
Needs
modem.
needs some bandwidth. Oh dearie me.
Now-
And looks like
broken.
energy for the
It's
internet.
gone. Never mind.
Dave, how you doing, pal? You okay?
I can't remember. I'm all right. Yeah.
Oh,
Was
it's
that-
good to see you, mate.
I am
Good to
all
see
right.
you.
Yeah. We're all right.
We're all right. We're all right. Did anybody make any good points last time before we came on air?
Probably not.
Were we not on air?
Did you
what
not
do you mean?
know?
It was just a little practice run, Paolo. Just a little practice run to see if your internet worked all right.
All 13 minutes of.
You said what you Dave.
Instead of which were you
Dave.
talking, Paul? So you've got to do that entire monologue again.
Mate, that was the gold. The gold's gone. We lost it.
Oh well, never
Mate.
mind.
Mate, now I'm no longer sounding like R2D2 to you. Do you want to talk to me about whether you are still of the opinion that we are? Don't worry about it, everybody. Everything's good. Everything's chilled. Ruben has a plan, and we are leveling up. We are going to be bringing in much better signings than anybody we've been linked with. The floor is yours, my man. Please make me feel more confident about the current
Mate,
transfer
it's
situation.
complete and utter panic stations. We are doomed. What's going to happen if we lose at York tomorrow? That's it.
Say us out.
I'm going
Say
to
us out.
in Liverpool because they look really good and they've signed that German lad. So I'm going to go with them. I think they're the ones.
I'm going with Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah, they're all right, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. They weren't before last night, but they are now.
They
So,
won
yeah.
the competition they shouldn't have qualified for. It's brilliant. It's the best thing I've ever seen. But no, it's obviously we've still got plenty of time. Yeah. I'm still sat here on the idea that he's having a look. He's having a look at what he's got because what we know is as well that certain players for certain managers really do fit, and we have got a lot of players that last season might be fancied by another manager where they wouldn't be necessarily by Wilder, and there'll be players that Wilder loved and who that might not fit into the way that he wants to play. So you do have to give him a chance to assess the squad and get to know where they are and how good they are, because he'll have had reports about some of our players being absolutely, mustard.
Yeah.
I think he's got everything covered, and then he gets to see him in training. He gets to see what they're like around the place, and he might change his mind on a few. There may be some of these signings that we haven't seen in the first team yet, who he thinks are going to go straight into the side this season, for all we know. So the list, I would imagine, is on hold until he can sort of assess where he is. He's gone and got the lad that he really rated highly. I think Bindon comes with a really good write-up. Sounds to me like he's going to be a bit of a world beater. We won't know until he's played 15 games and we've all made our mind up on what he's about. We need to give him that opportunity to do that. There are players that we need to sign, but when I look at the team now, if we had to go to war with what we've got, for example, so if we just kept what we've got currently right now, we'd be absolutely fine. And we couldn't say that last season. We couldn't say that if we had a midfield three at this point, we couldn't have said, "Oh, we'll be absolutely sorted for the rest of the season." So I think I'm not saying that we're absolutely well stocked everywhere we look. We could field a good side that would do well in the Championship right now, in my opinion. And yes, there are things that we'd like to add and we need to add for depth and for maybe a level up in certain positions. But we've got 4 loans that can be utilised, and we can get all those from the Premier League if we want to. And I'm still confident that we're going to have a really good side to go to war with this season. The other good thing about so far is we haven't flogged many more of our prized assets. So we haven't got rid of Gus, we haven't got rid of Siddy, we haven't got rid of. I don't think Blaster will go, but there's Burrows, there's Cooper, there's Femi. There's loads of players that we've got in our side that I would be really upset if we lost, because I think that there's more to come from probably all of them. And we've still got them. So it's not as bad as it looks, I don't think. I think there'll be 1 or 2 come in, settle people down. I would like them to go and make a statement signing. So I would like them to go and go, yeah, we've spent, we've accrued 13 million, go and spend half of that on a proven quantity, shall I say, at this level. Berger, I like the look of from Stoke. I think he'd be a good ingredient to add to that midfield area.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
Yeah, and then there's other players who are obviously in wide positions. You can go for a few. For me, those sorts of players would probably be Premier League players that we get in on loan, who are great 1v1. If he wants to play this attacking and pressing style that we've heard about, he'll want players who are really upwardly mobile, fast players, which is why the likes of potentially like Brooks maybe didn't fit the mold for him. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I get the feeling we're going to be a bit more dynamic in the way that we play. And yeah, I'm quite excited to see what he's got to offer. And I do want to say, I was just messing about. Whatever happens at York tomorrow, it's a fitness exercise. And
obviously,
do never ever judge a season based on what happens in the pre-season training or matches. Absolutely
not. So no panic from you, Paul. We've plenty of time. He's going to have a little look, we think, and then we'll go from there. Dave, how are your thoughts on it, pal?
This may or may not surprise you, but I agree wholeheartedly with every word that Mountain has just said. I haven't got much to add to it, other than I wonder if we might see a bit of Jeff and Chris now that they're changing manager. Whether the idea of them was maybe not. This is not based on knowing anything. Whether they maybe were not, the idea of them wasn't liked before, and maybe they'll get a chance now and surprise a few people. But otherwise, totally agree with Paul.
We'll see that, Dave. I think we will see that in the pre-season friendlies. I think the fans will get a look at him. I think they'd do themselves a big favour if they turned up and played really well. Because
I agree. Can play their way into the side, can't they already?
Well, again, a new manager, clean slate. Again, I said before, it could be that Ruben's been their man from the beginning. He had something to do with them being signed in the first place, potentially. We don't know, do we? To be fair, we have no idea. So you do get the feeling there weren't choices made by Chris Wilder, that's for sure. So I think it'd be intriguing to see how they got on in pre-season. It'd be really good to see what they're about and in the areas that they play. They're exciting players. Apparently, they've been doing well in training. Completed the bleep test. Yeah. Who was it who completed it?
Chris, I think.
Chris. So he completed a bleep test, which is no mean feat, to be fair. And probably
I don't know. Speak for yourself.
Oh yeah, good one, Jim. Like that.
It's not that funny, Dave.
Mate, you won't be able to complete in a taxi, mate. So don't worry about that.
But, right, that's a challenge. That's a challenge right there. That's my new Uber video sorted.
Well, I'd love to see you going up and down in your Uber.
It'd be like that bit in Austin Powers when he's trying to turn round.
It would, yeah. In the corridor.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that. I think
Great driver.
just pulling it back on course, by the way. Joe Gibson, one of our Platinum Ramblers, put out a really good tweet a couple of days ago, and we highlighted it on the stream last night. But I've taken inspiration from it, and he basically listed the dates that we signed players last season in the summer. So, and that has apparently, according to Riff, it's gone all over the place and all over the forums and everywhere like that. That gives a little bit of perspective. So I'm shouting out Joe Gibson for this, but I've taken a bit of inspiration, and this should, it's not going to show me on there, but it should pull up. So this is what happened last season. And by this time, last year, we had signed Jamie Shackleton and Sam McCallum. Yes, that's two players, but it's Jamie Shackleton and Sam McCallum, and that is no offence to the individuals, but they are no longer considered to be first team starters, in my opinion, and I think it's probably widely accepted that they're not. Now, tomorrow will be interesting, the 15th, because that's when we signed two big hitters, particularly Callum O'Hare. And then there was no activity for another 13 days, 12 days, how's your maths? But there were no activity for another 12 days. Harrison Burrows. Then it was another week, and well into August, really, before we started getting big hitters in. And you're talking about, obviously, Burrows being one, Harry Suter being another, Tyrese Campbell turning out to be, but Michael Cooper, obviously, is the standout there as well. It just shows, doesn't it, that we have still very early on in the window. And just because we haven't signed anybody yet doesn't mean... And we had a lot more work to do last summer, by the way, than we do this summer. So there's all that to consider as well, because we had nearly 20 players walk out. We lost players like George Baldock, Ollie Norwood, Ollie McBurney, John Egan. Lost them all out the door. Real, polished professionals. We had to rebuild the side. And we didn't get going until, whenever that said, Jamie Shackleton walked through the door on the 7th of July. So a week ago today, we've already signed Tyler Bindon a week ago. I think we signed him on the 7th, actually. Sam McCallum's equivalent has not arrived yet, but no great panic on that front. I think it just gives a little bit of perspective that to where we are in terms of the summer. So, sorry, I didn't know whether you were going to jump in there, but Rob starts us off in comments tonight saying, "Evening 3MB's not starting to panic yet. Just there's all time. There's still time." And we didn't only sign two till this point last summer, and Cooper, for example, didn't come in till mid-August. Up the blades for the Rambles, like and subscribe. Evening, gents, says Lewis. As the squad currently stands, who do you think will take the captaincy next season? Up the Ramble, up the 3MB, like and subscribe. Dave, any thoughts, pal?
That's a really good question, isn't it? Because
I mean, the easy answer is Arblaster, I think, takes the armband. But he's not going to be back for pre-season. So as it stands, a lot might say you're doing Robinson a disservice as the current captain who is still in the squad. Surely he just keeps the armband. But it's, like Paul said, it's an ideal time for a clean slate if you want to make that change.
Yeah. That's a tough one, because the comment I was going to make before is, I think, and it was sort of echoing what Paul had said, that I think if it came to the first game of the season tomorrow and we'd not signed anyone else, we'd still be able to put a team out that we'd be confident that we'd get a result with. Depends. I mean, if Tom Davis is going to start, he would cover. I think when we're looking at signings, I think we do need to add a bit where we go captain type material into the team. So maybe we haven't got the permanent captain within the squad. And yes, maybe I'm doing Jack Robinson a disservice, but I have my reasons.
Paul, who would you look to for awarding the armband this season?
With the absence of a Blaster who come into the conversation, I'd give it Siddy or Gus, personally.
I think Gus has got to be the one for me. Gus, not in terms of a natural leader, but sometimes you have a talisman standout player, don't you? And even if there's half a chance, it gives you an extra 5%. An extra 5% out of Gus Hamer is inhuman.
I say City because I think he's one that would react favourably to it. Similar to how when it was given to Vinny, I think he stood up and was counted, where a lot of people would have said, based on his attitude the year before, that he wouldn't be your man. I think
Anel was poor, wasn't he, with the armband?
Yeah.
It was a big weight for him.
Yeah, it was.
I think City would rise to it. He'd love that.
What about Ty Campbell?
I don't know. It's weird. I think that there's been exceptions to this, but I wouldn't usually have my centre forward as a captain, because for me, a good captain is someone who organises the team. I know different countries do it differently. I know the Italians do it based on who's got the most caps or who's got the most experienced player.
Yeah.
For me,
a captain, you don't necessarily just have to have one captain. You have one person who wears the armband. You can have 11 captains in your team. You can have 11 people who lead and organise on the pitch. And we need more, whoever it is. If any of the guys we mentioned, we need more of that, more experience in there. That's my concern with the squad.
So I would like, I'd love us to sign a Rob Holding, for example. It's an easy sort of name to go to because he was here last season, didn't get the game time, which perplexed a lot of the fan base. But obviously there will be reasons for it. Whether we'd agree with them if we knew them or not, who knows? But do you feel, and I'd ask this question on our trial run really, do you feel like we're boxing ourselves into a bit of a corner? It's difficult because what do? It's a clean slate for everybody, I understand that. There's a chance that Anel stays and sees out his contract, so you can't really plan for him long term. But if you've got him for the season, then obviously it's a really good defender to have at the level, particularly if you can get the best out of him. He's one of the best in the division when he's playing towards the top of his game. I'm not a huge Jack Robinson fan, which I won't dwell on, but I think everybody's aware of that. So for me, Anel and Tyler Binden are our defensive partnership now. It's a little bit like the striker problem, like I talked about at the top before the intro, or after the intro, should I say. We are not going to go into the market now and get a best-in-class centre-half, I don't believe. I don't think we will, because we have got our starting two. It's a little bit like the strikers. Even if you go two up top, we've got a £10 million man and a top goal scorer from last season, and then an alternative option in Kiefer Moore, who gives you something completely different, who will get game time next season because he's good enough at this level. So we were looking for a sort of complementary striker to come in as the fourth striker. This is just the way I summarise it, really. I don't think we've dropped £10 million on Tom Cannon. We are not going to spend another £10 million on a striker to nudge him out. It just doesn't make financial sense for the club as a business. I feel the same at centre-half. I think we are not going to bring in a player that makes us drop Anel Ahmedhodzic if there's half a chance that we can either sell him in January or get the most out of him while he's with us. So does that get... It's a nice problem to have that your players are too good to bring a replacement in, but does that give us a bit of an issue, do we think, anywhere along the line in terms of what sort of quality or what type of player we can bring in? Because if you bring in Rob Holding now, for example, does he just sit on the bench again behind Anel?
It's a really good question, isn't it?
Well, the club have got to make a decision on Anel.
Yeah.
So the club have got to decide if there's a market to sell him. Obviously, the interest from other clubs dictates to how the club go about this, I guess. Because if there is genuine interest with decent offers being made, then it gives the club a decision to make. What they might be saying, or it's not Sayers' his money, so I'm sure he'd rather keep Anel than lose him now. And it's not his money that if Anel walks out for free, is it? So it's kind of, I'm sure he'd be on the wavelength that, oh yeah, well, if you want to stay and see out your contract, then go for it. But it's all about the men sat upstairs in the big Oval Office or wherever they sit.
I'd argue it's about the man with the shirt.
Yeah, I would too.
And what he wants to do.
It's a huge
can accept all the bids in the world. If he doesn't want to, if he wants to leave it 12 months and take a big signing on fee, then
that's exactly what it is. You see it more and more with players now, don't you? They see out the contract so that they get the. It's not going to be the same level as a transfer fee, but it's even if it's half.
Is that right, Jim? Right, because I've read this week about Josh Brownhill and what he's what he's demanding. And I know this isn't ratified. This is paper talk, but he's looking for a sign-on fee similar to what his market value is, and that apparently is about 15 million quid.
That's absolutely outrageous.
Straight up,
absolutely outrageous.
Apparently he's after a giant sign-on fee, as he's a free agent, and
it'll come to that though, won't it? Because
you just go.
Yeah, you would. Burnley would, but Burnley are losing him for no anyway. So what Brownhill's saying is, whoever is willing to come and pay 15 million for me, rather than paying Burnley when I'm in contract 15 million quid, you put it in my bank account and I'll come and sign for you.
I hope he gets it.
Do you? Because that'll change football, won't it?
It's not far off though. It's not far off. The tide's already turned.
Sarcasm on my part. He's no chance.
Absolutely. Dave, I don't know.
How do you know? How do you know?
I don't know. That's true, Dave. You think about the way football's going. More and more footballers are running down the contracts, aren't they? We saw it with. We've seen it with Anel now. We saw it with. Well, it would have happened with Illiman and Sander had they not got the big moves that they wanted. That's just a Sheffield United example, but you do see it a lot now where players will run down the contracts and want to leave so they get the sign-on fee rather than the club.
How much do we think Trent got going to Real Madrid?
Fortune.
Yeah, and absolutely.
His market value, though.
No. It won't be his market value, but it won't be surprising to see that he got 20 million quid.
Right. So if he gets 20 million quid, that's fine. So Josh Brownhill ain't getting 15 million quid if Trent got 20.
Well, that's just a number I put out there. Would you be shocked if you found out Trent got 50 million as a sign-on? Would you?
Yes.
I don't know. And we're plucking things out of the air, aren't we? But I'm with Paul. I think this is a real danger of going this way with football in terms of your contract is your contract, and that clubs will have to get used to it. That is how long we've got the player for. Because
just think if we'd gone up, would you be happy us spending 15 million quid on Brownhill?
I don't think he's worth 15 million quid.
Well, Dave, we spent over 20 million quid on McBurney and Rhian Brewster, and you'd have to say that Brownhill is a far more proven, guaranteed goal. The season he had last season as well.
And the other thing is, I'd rather pay it direct to Brownhill than to Burnley, who's a direct rival.
Dave, what I don't know why anyone would be shocked with any of this. I think it's because
I don't think he's worth 15 million quid.
Well, yeah, but someone.
Yeah, but all right, say he's a £10 million player, and you would be willing in contract if Sheffield United had been promoted, and instead of Burnley, he's in contract with Burnley. Would you be willing to offer, if we were after a 10, would you be willing to offer him 10 million quid? Because if you are, which I think most people would be, and it's just an opinion, Dave. You're not right or wrong.
No, I know.
But
there's
no difference.
I don't think he's a proven Premier League player. I think he's a proven Championship player.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a proven Premier League player for 10 million quid, are you? In contract.
No, but I'm just thinking if you're a Premier League club, are you really in the market for him?
Yeah, I think some Premier League clubs will be
all over it. If I was Leeds, I'd be all over Josh Brownhill.
There were talks that Everton fancied him as well, and to be honest, as a squad man for Everton or somebody like that, where it can come on 10 million or 15 million quid, it's not the same figure it used to be. You know,
I appreciate that.
Alanga's just gone for 50.
Without him, Burnley don't get promoted. I
suppose I liken it. We don't yet know if Callum O'Hare is a Premier League level player, and although Brownhill's had his shots at the Premier League, whenever he's come down, he's stayed. So I'm maybe being a bit too specific rather than.
No, it's an interesting topic of conversation, really. Yeah. I definitely think that's the way the game's going. I cannot see Nell signing another contract with Sheffield United, and at this point, I'll be surprised. I'll certainly be surprised even if there's any murmur of it, but it's a 50-50 call now for me whether he actually goes or not. I think he's probably more likely to stay.
If you were an L, you probably wouldn't sign another contract right now. It's not to say you wouldn't stay, but you would probably say right now, as things stand at this moment in time, new manager, new way of playing.
I don't blame Nell.
Yeah, how's it going to look? I'm not making a decision yet.
I agree with that, and I don't blame Nell for 1 second. I think he's got to look after his own interests. But what will happen there is, if it comes to the end of the season, then he is just like any other player on the free market. It's not a case of Sheffield United's decision to enter contract talks with him. Then it's anybody can sign him. It happened with CJ Egan-Riley at Burnley. They lost him for nothing, and he was a real big part of their promotion squad. And it's just becoming more and more prevalent. If we were desperate for Ian Brewster to stay, and I know a lot of people aren't, but we've missed our chance, haven't we? Because he's seen out his contract. We started negotiating with him back in October because Chris Wilder wanted to keep him, and we just couldn't come to an agreement. So he will now take a big sign-on fee wherever he goes, something that we would not be willing to pay. If he goes he's negotiating with Middlesbrough. There's rumours that Wrexham are coming in for him now, and they will pay him a big sign-on fee. We won't pay him a £2-3 million sign-on fee to sign another contract with us, but they're getting a £2 to £3 million player, which is probably about right, on the free market, and that's why free transfers are never free. We did the same with Callum O'Hare. We nabbed Callum O'Hare from Coventry and paid him a big sign-on fee because we're not paying a transfer fee, so he got that in his pocket. That's why he runs around smiling all the
against
time.
The market value, don't it, by the clubs?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Do we think O'Hare's sign-on fee was akin to what we'd have had to pay Coventry to get him out of there?
No. It's Dave. I'm with you in the fact that it's still a percentage of the market value. It's not. I would say Callum O'Hare is probably an £8 to £10 million player at the moment, as a very rough estimate. You'd accept it. We'd be considering bids of that if somebody came in for Callum O'Hare and offered us that sort of money. If he was still available on a free, we wouldn't be putting £8 million in his bank account. Not a chance. But you'd be putting around half of that in, probably.
That's kind of where I'm at with Brownhill then.
Yeah, possibly. So he might want 15. He might end up with 7.5, but he's still absolutely laughing. Rather than signing a new deal with Burnley and then taking a $2 million sign on from someone.
That was the kind of, I hope he gets it, 15 million, because I just didn't.
You're
right. It's an opinion, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's fine.
Football landscape's going that way, like Jim just said, but also there's the element of Saudi Arabia, isn't there, that has just come in and
Yeah, well, if you won't pay him 15, we'll pay him 25, and we'll take him.
Look at the numbers attached to that, and I know we're talking about some of the world's big hitter players, but you can imagine agents going to him going, "Look, we'd rather have come to you, but this is what he's been offered. This is," and it skews the whole thing once again. So yeah, I mean, I think Brownhill is shooting the moon, but if there's any chance that he can get anywhere near anything like it, even if he ends up with a third of it, he's made for life, isn't he, really? So So it's kind of like, and he's had his best ever season. He's definitely worth, if we ended up signing him for a £5 million sign-on fee, if Sheffield United signed him tomorrow with a £5 million sign-on fee, I would be delighted.
Yeah. 100%. And I'm pleased it's going to him rather than Burnley, like I said, because I think, we're in that same. I think Burnley are the Premier League team at the moment. I understand that, but we're in the same bubble as them, and interchanging leagues out at the moment. Hopefully, if we can stay in that race. Mark Meldrew says, "Good evening, lads. Hope you're well. If it goes beyond next week without a sniff of a signing, then I'll start to get jitters. Hopefully, nothing's a sign that things are happening. Up the Blades, up all the Rambles, up the Ruben Sayers, and up the positive Meldrew." Cooler King says, "Evening, Mardy. Aside from the usual suspects like Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, I think it's been a quiet transfer window all around so far, so the Blades needn't worry." Yeah, agreed. Boats and Hose says, I know it's frustrating not hearing from the club transfer-wise, but maybe we've learned our lesson and keeping our mouths shut. I remember a few seasons back, all our rumoured signings were getting poached. Matty Cash, Anonti, Anthony Robinson, and a few more. Yeah, there were. Yeah, absolutely right. Ray says, Not panicking as yet, but the longer it goes on, I might just start panicking. There's still plenty of time left in the window, so keep calm. I'm just going to remind people as well that I can't get through all the comments tonight on 3MB. Otherwise, we'd have no chance to have a chat about any of the subjects that you bring up. So apologies if I've missed anybody's comments. There will be streams where I try and get through every single comment that comes in. Evening 3MB, no need to panic. Of course, there's not. Nige says, good evening, gents. No need to panic. It's a new system. Still getting to know the players. One in, one out. No more news on anyone going. Links get quiet due to being the same headline and doesn't get the views with old news. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the preseason games. I'm sure the players will start coming in after the York game. Up the blades, up the Ramble. Thank you, mate. Peake says, I'll never panic. What will be, will be. I think we'll add a couple of loan players and maybe a couple of frees. Not worried about losing any of our current squad. Up the blades, up the Ramble. Then everybody's wondering where we were. Like to keep you guessing. It was all a plan, honest. So Helen says, don't know about the lack of transfer activity. I'm panicking. There are no Mardy blades. Yes. Well, we're here, Helen. We're here now. Thank you for that. James says, as someone who was never Wilder's biggest fan, I think the board have made a mistake in getting rid of him if they plan on doing things on the cheap. Sayers requires backing monetarily to work, in my view.
Yeah.
Any fears, lads, that there is not going to be any back? Like, there's been murmurings, hasn't there? There's been murmurings about look at Mountain now.
You know how like on your graphic that you just showed, which was marvelous and professional, by the way.
Thank you, mate.
Some of the graphics you put together, Jim. But
thanks, mate. This one, mate.
But before, that one. So you think the 15th of August? That's exactly that's over a month away from where we are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember the gas panic everyone was having last year when we were like, the season's doomed, we got Gervich in goal. Oh my gosh. The wheels are, it's all over. What's going on? Are we going to sign him? Can you remember those weeks leading up to him signing? We were just on the edge of everything. It's like, oh my gosh, we can't have him in goal. We need a goalie. Can we get a goalie? And then we signed Cooper, and ever since we've just been sat here rubbing our hands together, like, oh, isn't it brilliant? Isn't it great? And it's like, well, it's you've got to try and be a little real with it because you just don't know what's going to happen. That's the exciting thing now. We kind of had an idea we were doing things with the Prince on a quite restricted budget. We knew that because he'd come out and told us that he didn't have the money to take us to the next level. As we found out when we were in the Premier League, with these owners, we are in an exciting time because we really don't know what is going to happen. And I'll put this to you, Jim. What if in the next 3 weeks we went out and signed 3 players for 7, 8, 10, 12 million each, and said, right, we're going to improve that, improve this, improve the other. We do not know if that's what they're going to do. This season for them is about risk and reward. They're business people. So their last.
I'll have you a gentleman's bet if you want.
Well, you pretend to know, but you don't. So that's good. You don't know when right. I know what you said when you had no inkling at all when Tom Cannon marched in for 10 million. You had no clue what that was happening at all.
That's very true. Very true.
And again, you'd said that ain't going to happen. That won't
never
happen.
Signing Tom Cannon. We are never signing
chance.
Tom Cannon.
No chance. And then what happens? There he is with the shirt in his hand. Big fee on the end. You're like, oh, okay. That was a massive curveball. No one expected it.
Very true, mate. Very true.
We have no idea what these guys are going to do. We could have the biggest budget in the whole division for all we know. We haven't got a clue.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't got a clue. I'll give you that. We don't know which direction this transfer window is going at all, do we?
And even last year, mate, even with us, what was regarded as we knew it was tight. We knew we had to make money somewhere. We had to do this. We had to do that. What did we end up doing? Flogging a load of rubbish for loads of money. We kept hold of Gus. We kept hold of Vinny. We kept hold of all the players. We signed Cooper. We signed Burrows. We signed, Tyrese Campbell. We signed all these players who are now part of our squad and worth now a lot more than what we've paid for them. And other than, you could say that about everybody other than Cannon, I'd imagine. So yeah, it's like we just don't know, and it's exciting. I think it's quite exciting. We'll find out, won't we? You might be right, Jim. We might be scraping barrels.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying we are. I'm saying I am nervous, but I'm certainly by no means saying what are the board doing or what his sayers doing or anything like this. Because it's unknown, that's what makes me nervous. I'm not thinking, oh no, we're definitely just going out for frees. And although that has been the narrative in some quarters because of what Sayers said in his Radio Sheffield interview, he said that we have got money if we need to use it, but at the moment we're considering the frees and the loans market. Now that, again, we don't know whether that is just purely a PR spin, because it could well be. It could be a case of we don't want people to know that we've got money or we're willing to spend money. Yeah. Or it might be the truth in terms of we're trying to be prudent.
Is it just
the free market is different now, isn't it? Because like we were just talking about, there's players running their contracts down, and some of those are the best players at the clubs that they're playing at. And they're doing that because they know that they can then accrue these big sign-on fees. It would be better to have a player who's ran his contract down and pay them a more nominal sign-on fee than it would to go out and spend, well, you need 10 million to get him out the club or something like that. It's much better business to do it that way, isn't it? Because if you can acquire those players for free.
But who are those players out there at the minute?
Well, again, like I've said to you,
we've had players like Jimmy Dunn.
I did you a full list of players who are now worth an absolute fortune, who have been plucked out of obscurity from where we're sat. You know, we know about the Premier League, the Championship. We know a little bit about League One, a little tiny bit about League Two. That is virtually it. And the scouting network is being cast. The net is being cast all over Europe. We could sign a player tomorrow who is our best player in 6 months' time. And,
we could.
And we'll never have heard of him. And we might not even be able to pronounce the team that he came from. And it's like, that is the way that the club is now going to be run. And just because, you know, we're not signing Championship stalwarts or players that the 22 teams above us with bigger budgets know about and don't want, we're looking to pluck the diamonds out of.
Okay, so I'm playing devil's here, but to put the shoe on the other foot is, what if we're not? What if we don't pull out those diamonds? What if we sign 3 more Benny Traore's and a couple of Anis Slamanis, and we're then all of a sudden in a really tricky spot? What, you know, there is a counter to everything else, and it's a very positive way of looking at things, and I appreciate that, and we always try and do that, but we'll always try and put the counter in as well to people that are nervous about what's going on at the minute and not really sure about which direction the club's going in, because it's so alien to what we're used to as a club. We are predominantly, historically, have been a domestic-based club in terms of our signings. We will pluck the best of weaker teams historically and use it to strengthen ourselves. And that is what we used to doing. So a Jimmy Dunn would have been, fits like a glove in this Sheffield United side. He's a right back. We need a right back. He's a big, strong lad. Can play centre half. No messing about. Tough tackler. Let's get him in. I am on board with a new strategy. I'm not backtracking or changing me, but I have to be honest, and I'll always be honest and say I'm a bit nervous about the strategy because there's been no sniff of a right back. And it might come in 2 weeks' time and everything's put to bed in terms of that right back's done and dusted. We're sorted. The new Jadon Boglino has signed from, you know, Palmeiras or something.
Jadon Boglino, mate.
Signed from Palmeiras, and we're all good and we're set at right back for the rest of the season. But it's all right to be a little bit nervous about it too. And what you did for me, you and Lee, in your view from the mountain 10 days ago now, you gave me hope that, you know, these things do take time, but they can also really reap their rewards, and they can. It's just 10 days on and we've got one player through the door, and it's hard in the moment to stay calm and composed.
Do you know?
And I think that a lot of Blades are feeling that as well.
Do you know why I think you're nervous?
Why? Because
you don't know, and it's different.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair, mate.
And with anything in life, we tend to be nervous about what we don't know, what we don't understand. And because the club's always been running a certain way, and it was successful in a certain way, and we're looking at doing things differently now, there is a natural air of trepidation of what that's going to look like and is it going to work. And I think that for the long-term future of the club, that we have to try and do something different, because this, your Jimmy Dunns and your Harry Darlings probably would have been, solid for this season, but you go up and you've got those two guys on the books and you may be relying on them in the Premier League, and there's probably, at the ages they're at, a reason why they've not been picked up by Premier League clubs. And we need to grow, we need to start these building blocks of finding these players, them doing well, and then moving on to bigger and better things, and us benefiting in cold hard cash and repeat.
Surely that's evolution, not revolution, though, isn't it? We can't bring in 10, 22-year-olds and hope that it works.
It's not, well, but that's not to say that's what we're going to do. Just because things have stopped as the manager has changed. We know Wilder likes to do things in a certain way. He has his, you talk about a Wilder type signing, and he tended to like to go for, the lads who've maybe got something to prove, it's not worked out somewhere else. And, for all the successes, for your Ty Campbell, you've got a Ravel Morrison. Lee Smoothsay had a great 6 months, but other than that,
Ricky Holmes.
Yeah, Ricky Holmes. What was the other one?
Sammy Carruthers.
Yeah, Ryan Leonard.
Lee Evans.
Yeah, so there's loads of them where it doesn't work out.
Ceiling. What's the ceiling on them players?
Yeah,
would they ever be able to go to the Premier League and play?
If you sign 10 players who are 21, 22-year-old, but 3 of them turn out to be mega at our level, and we've signed them for peanuts, and we sell each of those 3 for 15 million quid each, and you're looking at nearly 45 million pound profit. Suddenly, your club starts to become more sustainable, and by that point, because they've done well, the club's done well. So then you're looking at players in maybe a slightly different pool, and those become 35, 45 million pound players, and it starts to snowball and grow. It's the only way we're going to do it.
I do agree with you, mate, and that is obviously the aim. That is what we're not expecting to hit the bullseye every single time we sign a player, and the club will have built in those contingencies that it'll be that sort of mentality. As long as 2 of these 10 can become, and 50% of Illiman and Die, then we're absolutely laughing. But do you feel confident? I mean, Paul's very enthusiastic, and I appreciate that, and I very positive, and I'm just wavering at the moment because I'm nervous. It doesn't mean I'm not looking forward to the season, or I'm not backing him or the club, because I am, and I will be fully on board with whatever team turns out on first day. How are you feeling, Dave, about the season plans at the moment? Are you still cool, calm, collected about it?
Other than Vinny Souza, who have we lost over the summer from the end of last season that we're really...
Listen, how many caveats do you want? Harry Suter's a huge blow. Huge blow.
We lost Harry Suter in January, and you don't know that we haven't just replaced him.
Yeah, true.
Unproven, but we may have just replaced him. So we look at the side that we could potentially put out, and we're not. It's not like last season where we're turning up and going, we're going to have to play. We're going to have to chuck Louis Marsh in, who's got absolutely no experience. I mean, we were chucking Sidney Peck in, and look at the season he had. But we're not looking at a side that's suddenly, it's full of academy lads. We've got a strong team that we're looking at adding quality with, as Paul's just quite rightly said, higher ceilings than some of these other lads than we've been looking at.
Harry Suter was excellent for us, wasn't he? But he was a known quantity.
Excellent, incredible, mate. Yeah, he was.
Well, he was, Jim, again.
The best I've... No, I'm only kidding.
Let's not overrate it. At Championship level, he's one of the better defenders in the division. But he has been kept out by two of the worst centre-halves in the Premier League of Leicester City, who didn't fancy him at all. And that we did say as well, I'd be happy to go with Oasis because he did really well for us. But could he do it at Premier League level? Has he done it at Premier League level? No, he hasn't. And there's obviously Leicester didn't think he was up to the task. They had other guys in mind who have just, they've done nothing for him. So it's kind of like it's hard, but I just had a thought I'd have a look because I had a little thing.
I knew you were studying while we were talking. I could see you.
Study. Okay, so Brighton and Hove Albion, who are one of the teams that we think we're going down that kind of route, don't we? In terms of
us and everybody else, we all want to be Brighton, don't we?
Well, we do, yeah, because what they're doing is that they are finding the players who can come and project them up to the top half of the Premier League, and they're not competing with the other 7 or 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams who have got bigger budget than them, who spend more, and they're operating in their own market. And it's similar with Bournemouth. It's similar with Brentford. So I read you out the list of players that they have signed, because I guarantee, other than one, none of the Brighton supporters will have a clue where or how, if they weren't told the information about this player. Okay, because when we signed Vinny Souza, what we did was we went online, went to YouTube, and had a look, and oh yeah, this looks good, doesn't it? But we didn't know who he was before we were due to sign him, and that's the sort of player that I envisage we will be looking at. We'll be looking for players who are playing in other countries, who are pulling up some trees, who are not necessarily on the radar of every other big club around, and we'll try and take him. So this little list here. So Tom Watson, they've signed. We know who he is. He's a prospect. He's a £10 million prospect. He might not get in their team. The likelihood is he won't get in their team next season, in my opinion. But they've signed a guy called Du Young-yun, sorry.
Good player.
Going well.
Really good player.
Yeah, decent.
Fantastic.
Decent.
You know who he plays for? Dejan Hanna Citizen. Okay,
yeah. Oh, I thought he played. He's only just gone there though, hasn't he? It were Dejan.
Charalampos Kostoulis.
Bless you.
From Olympiacos. Diogo Coppola from Hellas Verona. Olivia Buscagli from PSV Eindhoven. And Maxime de Kuyper from Club Bruges. Now, I guarantee...
Decent clubs, though. Decent clubs, them.
Yeah, but they're not at the same financial level as Brighton. And some of them cost money. You know, Kostoulis has cost 29.8 million. We've never heard of him. If you said pick him out of a lineup...
True. Yeah, you're right, mate. Yeah, no one's pretending here, yeah.
And
right.
None of us know who any of these lads are. And I guarantee one or two next season will be going... Oh, hell, he's a bit of a player, isn't he? And that is, unfortunately for us as Blades, we are gonna have them. And yes, some of them will be duds, Jim, because nothing works all the time. But some of them we might uncover players who can take us to that next level, because there is no value in the English league. There is
You're
no
value.
I know exactly what he's going to say. Yeah. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Well, we'll see if you do. Brighton fans now trust the system, don't they? Because it has been a system that has worked year upon year upon year. So when they bring in these anonymous players to us, they might as well be anonymous players because we don't know who they are. They trust their recruitment system to get it right more often than not. They've brought through players like Gyökeres and all these sort of players that you think, an incredible recruitment system. But it'd be interesting to see or hear from a Brighton fan when they moved to that model. How did they feel? And they might not be able to remember it, but we are in the early stages of trying our absolute best to replicate something like that. If we get 20% of Brighton's success, it will be a hugely successful model for Sheffield United. We are trying our best to replicate it, and we are now in the untested phase, aren't we? We are chucking around small fees. You know, it's up to £2 million and stuff like that is being thrown around at the minute for some of these players that we've signed, who were originally thought to be part of the development team. But as you rightly say, sayers may have a look at them and think, actually, that Ukaki lad, He's got a bit about him. He might feature this season. So we'll not know until probably more than 15 games in. It might be January time by the time we're sort of really having a look and saying, okay, well, that worked. That one worked. That one didn't really. That one's had a bit of a dodgy time with injury. Whatever it might be, we will know then. But because we haven't tested it and it's untested, it's understandable that some of us, and I'm speaking for those that are quite nervous about it. I would love to be on your boys' thought process where plenty of time.
Can I say why it's different?
Go on,
Can I
mate.
say
Go on.
why
Of
this
course you can.
season's different to last season?
Of course you can, yeah.
Because if you think about our 11 now, we might agree and disagree and whatever. That's how we do it. But if you think about the 11 players that we could field for our opening game right now, before we've even experienced a window, you look at that list you've put on the screen there. There's 4 of our stalwart players in there who we describe as some of our best players.
Top 6, mate. Top 6 into it already.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, and we finished 3rd last season with all these lads, and they're still there. Other than one of them, other than Vinny Souza, who's not on that graphic. So we're from a start point at this point where we've got Michael Cooper in goal. We've got Harrison Burrows at left back. We've got Femi Sariki, who's a different animal to what he was a year ago as our right back. We could start the season with him as right back. I would be absolutely fine with that. We've got Tyler Binden, who's supposed to have a massive ceiling. We've got Anil Ahmedhodzic. We've got Siddy Peck. We've got Gus Aymer. We've got Callum O'Hare in the middle. We've got a choice of forwards up front in Cannon and Tyrese Campbell, who's our top scorer. We are dealing with a different situation to what we were before. We've still got 4 loans. If we go and smash those 4 loans on 2 left wingers and 2 right wingers, there's nothing to say that team couldn't go and win the league.
I would normally push back on that. But you look at what Leeds United did last season with 4 incredible wingers, and that won them the league. So I'm bringing in Tanaka, obviously, and we've got better than Tanaka, and I'll say that with Gus Aymer moving back into the 8, he's better than Tanaka in that role. So that's what did it for Leeds, weren't it, last year? So normally I would say not sure about that, but they had 4 incredible wingers, Dan James included, who were already there. But fair play. So and on that, to be fair. Cowboy Paul Young says, where do you think Hamer will play tomorrow at York? Or do we think he'll be trying players in different positions to see how they play in his system? Now, I'm just going to caveat that with, there were mentioned last night on stream that Tom Cannon has been playing left wing or left forward in a lot of the training sessions, something that Danny All had commented on when he was out in Girona. I am of the opinion, I'm probably more hopeful than sure that this is the case. I don't know if he's been making up the numbers just for those sort of shape exercises, which doesn't bode well for him being up front either way. But what do we think to where Hamer will play, whether he's going to experiment with players in different positions, and Tom Cannon on the left wing, lads? Who wants to go first?
I'll let Dave go first because I haven't seen him play there, Jim, so I can't possibly comment.
Oh, don't. I think he's going to play Gus in the middle because that's what he said he prefers to see him. Other than that, who knows? Let's wait. Let's wait and see. Tomorrow is going to be the ultimate in just getting some match minutes into the legs of the players. I would not be reading too much into anything, personally.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Paul, any ideas on whether it's square pegs in round holes, or do you think Gus is going to play in the 8 in surely tomorrow?
I'd like to see Gus in the middle, and I don't mind if that's Cal O'Hare, Gus, and Siddy. I'd like to see them 3 go together. With the prospects of having Arblaster coming back, I think Cal O'Hare could play deeper. The reason I like Cal O'Hare deeper is because I don't think he can shoot, and Gus Aymer definitely can. So if he drifts into those areas, it wouldn't shock me if they alternated. It'll be really interesting, like you say, to see what he does with the team. I wouldn't be crying into my beer if Tom Cannon does a shift on the left-hand side for a bit. He might think that he wants to play Ty Campbell, or he wants to play you know, until we see it and the proof's there, and I think it's really difficult. And like you say, he's got to try things, hasn't he? Yeah, I won't be panicking just yet. The truth is, we haven't really got a left winger. So like Dave says, he's probably just filling in for the sake of the shape and trying to get him to understand the shape of the team and how he wants to play, because there's probably an area that he's looking to strengthen, I would imagine.
Dino says, according to that bloke on When Saturdays Come.
Who's that?
Who's that? Who's never heard of him? Never heard of him. Dry Bry. There's 2 players due in. Though that's what Sayers said, weren't it? I think that's where Bry's getting that from. Sayers said they were hoping to get a couple in. I don't know whether Bry's taking that literally or not, but hoping to get a couple in before the end of the month. Yeah, we'd have all expected that, to be fair, Ruben. So that doesn't really excite the fan base. Yeah, Dino, I can probably guarantee you that we'll get 2 in before end at month. But again, it's who you're going to get. How, I don't know. I'm not going to keep going down the same road, but it's. Billy says, all right, Jimmy, do you still feel confident Gus stays with the interest now from PSV? Is there interest from PSV? I'm not convinced there is. But yes, I'm confident Gus stays. I am confident Gus stays, because I don't think anybody will pay what we want to get him out of Sheffield United. Lads, any opinions on Gustavo?
Yeah, well, PSV have never paid paid that level of transfer fee. We had a look, didn't we? Their highest transfer.
Lee Edridge, yeah.
Wasn't for quite a few years ago when they were doing, because they were doing really well at one point, weren't they? And they were playing Champions League and that. But I don't think they've never forked out more than 19 million euros for a player, and that was in their pomp. So
it's not their model either.
Yeah, it's not to go and pluck players who are costing a lot of cash.
High ticket, isn't he? Gus, he's going to be an expensive purchase for someone.
Yeah,
and I think he stays. Jimmy, energy in the internet. Yeah, you know what I meant. Rev says, starting to get twitchy with the lack of activity so far. I'm slightly worried with the calibre of players we might be bringing in. You don't laugh at other people's opinions, Paul. Just because they don't agree with you. No. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
I was laughing at you clown.
Especially looking at the clubs up and around us getting strong. I can see you. Danny Ings signs for Borough. Good signing, that, says Scott. It would have been 2 years ago, maybe. I'm not convinced it's the same Danny Ings, if I'm honest. It may be. We'll not know, will we, till he starts.
4 goals in the Championship, if he can stay fit.
Big if. You'd have thought Iniacho would have been a great signing as well, wouldn't you? Yeah, don't turn your nose up now. It's so easy. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the honest answer, Dave. Now, when Man Mountain... Oh, no, that £25 million player that went for no, I wouldn't have had him, no. You would, all day long.
Danny Ings is a different quantity to him.
No, they're both like ex-Premier League strikers, aren't they? That's past their best.
Danny Ings
they are completely different players.
In his career, Jim.
Say again?
Danny Ings has actually scored quite a lot of goals in his career.
He has, but he's not been fit for the last 2 seasons, has he?
How old is he?
He's not been played.
30. I'd say 34-ish. I might be wrong. 34, 35 probably.
So, I mean, if he can stay fit, he's still got a few years in him.
He has, mate. He has indeed. Yeah, he's a good signing, that, Scott. I hadn't seen that one, to be fair. Jamie Dumpling says, evening, guys. 3 words. Stay flipping calm. Out tomorrow, early doors for Ramble on the road. So if anyone sees me, please approach, as I'm wanting to interview fans from both teams. Fingers crossed. Forecast is wrong. Oh, is it going to chuck it down?
Wet.
Oh, man. I'm off early as well. I'm off to York early to make a bit of a day of it. Me and Andy the Blade and Eki Outsal will be meeting Lee and a few others later on.
What's happening at weekend? Because you said you got a story and you were going to talk about it tonight.
So, I told you what had happened with... Or did you hear about what happened with Oasis thing?
We all heard what happened with the Oasis thing.
Out of order, that. Massively out of order. So, for those that haven't heard, Andy the Blade, I got a ticket for York with Lee Edridge, just so I didn't miss the ticket. And then my dad rang and says, oh, let me know where you sat, so I'll get a ticket in and around as close as I can, and we can still go through together, and we'll make a bit of an afternoon of it. Yeah, great. I ain't got any tickets for Rotherham yet, though, Dad. If we want to sort them out, then we can all go together and be sat together for that one as well. I mean, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. What do you mean? Oh well, I've been offered. I'm going to see Oasis. I'm like, what? Yeah, Cammy's got us some VIP tickets for Oasis, so I can't come to Rotherham with you anymore. Right, okay. He knows I'm a huge Oasis fan and really wanted tickets, but I weren't going to pay like the prices that they were because I couldn't get one initially, and then I wasn't going to pay tout prices. So like, yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we're apologetic on phone, and then we've got a Blades family group. So I'm then sort of talking to him about I can't remember whether we were in that group or afterwards. The sympathy had gone. He were like, "You just got to roll with it, pal," and I can't tell you whether I'm going to be VIP, but it's definitely maybe, and all that sort of stuff. So
Don't look back in anger.
Yeah. Don't look back in anger. He mentioned that a couple of times. It's the only main ones that he knows, you see. So and then he definitely started googling them. 100% he were googling them to send me some more.
Say he did.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he did.
Mate,
I'm telling you.
You know what the punchline should be? I'd want him to phone you and ask you if you can drive him there. That'd be the best.
This is what I'm coming to. Right?
He's not.
He rang me. He rang me on Saturday.
What a man.
And he says, Jim, I know this is going to be really cheeky because I know how much you want to go, but you haven't got a Rotherham ticket yet, have you? No, I haven't. Not yet, I haven't. I was just, going to see what everybody were doing, and I might have asked a few Ramble lads or whatever. And lasses, if they fancied like making a bit of a day of it, since my dad's ditching me and my Aunt Sal want to go and stuff like that. He says, "Well, I've been talking to Cammy and we're just trying to work out how we're going to get there. So we'll give you some money for it. Like we'll give." I said, "Well, first of all, I'm not going to take money from my dad to give you a lift anywhere."
I would.
No,
100%.
No.
I'd take money from your dad to take.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, I might at this rate. So he says, "Oh yeah, so." But there is some good news though. He says, "Yeah, go on then. What is it?" He says, "You can come in with us if you want because we've got your ticket."
Good.
I was like, "Go on then, go on." Then. I would jump. You know the where Rodney and Del Boy celebrating car, and you can see it. Check it. I was like that. I were in car like that. I were absolutely buzzing. So he's got me a ticket for Saturday at Eaton Park. So,
I was thinking you were just being a baby and belly aching, and now you got what you wanted, didn't you? Little Jim got what he wanted.
Don't be jealous.
Don't
be jealous, Paul.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Fine. I'm going.
Are you
going?
I'm going to be the real punters in the mixer in the middle, mate.
All right, I'll tell Noel you said hello.
Sipping me baby sham or whatever.
Baby, are you there on Saturday?
No, it's I'm going to Wembley in September.
Oh yeah.
Are you coming on Saturday to Rotherham? More importantly,
I've got a birthday party. Ronnie's got a birthday party,
and
I've got to go there. I've got to do it. I've got to do that.
Moving on, lads. Hamer's still here. Cooper's still here. That's enough to settle me, says Tom, not from. Let's have a look. Chris says, evening 3. Chris Colchin, uncle of Sam. Well, congratulations again. Evening 3MB. Paul has hit the nail on the head. No need to panic. If we don't get another addition to the current squad, I'm confident we'll still be in the mix come the end of the season. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. And that is something that we need to be aware of. And I need to keep reminding myself, actually, when we're nervous. And you've touched on it a lot, lads, there, where the current squad is very strong at this level anyway. So we are going to complement it with 4 loans. Whether we rate the buys or not, we'll be complementing it with 4 loans who should be, if not first teamers by right, they should be certainly pushing to be in the first team. So if it's Tyler Binden level for the loans in whatever position, in terms of they're definitely first 12 or 13, then we can't complain. I think we're going to have a really good go this season.
And there'll be Ruben's choices, you see, as well. So that means that he'll live and die by his choices, like managers do. And it's tired, but managers are judged on their signings because good players win football matches. You can't magic it with rubbish players. It doesn't work like that. If he can go and pick a player and he picks 4 good ones that can come in and make our squad better, and maybe 2 or 3 of them improve our first 11, then we're right in the mixer.
Yeah, agreed. It's I'm not going to take too many more comments now because we've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. We thought we'd been on for an hour and 25, but we haven't. An hour and 10. So Gaz says Hamer for captain. That was his captain shout. He also thinks Burrows is a good shout. It goes under the radar a little bit because he was Peterborough's captain at something like 22 years old, and did really well for them in that season that he was captain as well. So it could be one of those that raises his levels. I think because he's not seen to be one of the bigger characters in our squad, he sometimes gets overlooked for stuff like that. But Nate says Cooper would be his captain. I'm a bit like Paul with strikers. I don't think keepers are your number one position for a captain personally, but I would lean towards Gus. And
He's
Wayne
quiet
says
as
the
well,
same.
Coops. He's not one of these. He's not one of the yapping at everybody all the while, is he? He's one of the,
that's true.
more of a calming influence. So.
Okay, Tom agrees with the Burrows shout until Blaster comes back. Ray says Tom Cannon for captain. He would fire the team up. Oh, dearie me.
Raymond.
Unbelievable. With you mentioning an L, Jimmy, do you think he signs a new contract? We have touched on that, haven't we? If we go up, or does he want out of the club irrespective? That's a good point. Do we think he signs anyway, lads? Do we think he signs, if we go up?
Maybe.
Depends on the offers he'd get elsewhere. That's it.
You're in Brownhill territory, aren't you?
Well, because Dave said if he's been our player, we want him to sign a new deal. The likelihood of us dipping into the kitty to say, oh, and they'll have 3, 4 million, 5 million to re-sign for us, is probably not what a lot of teams want to do. And if someone else comes in and goes, well, there's no transfer fee, he's a £5 million, £10 million player, we'll 3 million sign on, he'll go there because he's got a family, he's got things to think about. And it's a business, unfortunately.
Brett says, evening, guys. Hard to judge anything as yet. We don't really know the system or formation. Says has been at sides. He's had to make the best of things. Not built a side to get promoted. Up all the rambles. Yeah, that's fair. Right, let me skip a bit further down now. David says, got to panic now. Frees and loans aren't good enough if we want promotion.
I think the point is, in the first instance, if you can make your squad stronger with loans and frees, maybe that makes more sense than trying to get into protracted transfer offers and that kind of thing. It doesn't mean we won't do it. I think it's just look, if we can do what we want to do in that market, it's probably easier for us. But if we can't, we're ready and equipped to go out into the.
I agree.
It's a budget is an amount of money. How you use it depends on it's up to you. So we could have 10 million to spend, including wages, transfer fees, agent fees, signing on fees, and all that. You allocate it for the best deal and the best player for the club. So I think it's a bit of a moot point for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, that's fair.
I'd rather sign a free agent who was earning 50 grand a week, because that'll tell you about the caliber of the player, than buying someone for 4 million, 5 million quid and paying them 25 grand a week, because at some point they'll have justified, or if we'll think that they're worth the money that we're paying them. I'd rather we said it at the start, didn't we? I'd rather pay someone who up levels the team. And if that means paying them more money, that's kind of what Sheffield United, for me, have to do to bridge that gap. They have.
So on that basis, you would award Michael Cooper a new contract, wouldn't you, and lift him?
Well, again, that's on a necessity. He's on a long contract, Jim. So
but hang on, where does reward come in then for player? Not just because it suits us, because he's on a long contract.
Michael Cooper's signed a contract with us. If we got promoted, then I'd probably agree with you. But at this point, we haven't been promoted, so he's come in and done a fantastic job. If we knew that there was going to be a big influx of cash coming next season, there is no necessity at this point for us to put Michael Cooper on double his money. There's nothing.
No, I agree with that. But
I actually think if he starts the season, I don't think it'd be a priority at the moment, because the priority at the minute is making sure the squad's set. I firmly believe that if heading towards the turn of the year, if he's had a great start to the season like he had last season, I think they'll be looking at having discussions with him, because if you renew that contract, it just protects your investment for what people have got to pay to get him out of there.
Yeah, it does. So he's going to go anyway into if a beginning copper comes
we
in.
were not going to do it. I can't. Well, I'm saying we're not going to. That's ridiculous. But I can't see us doing it over the summer.
I agree. But if you feel like they've justified it, then it's when do you push the button on it? Really,
I think we're all confident he's going to have a great season, and he's not a flash in the pan. But the teams will be working on incomings into the squad at this stage. It doesn't, with the length of his contract, it doesn't need to be a priority before September. Yeah. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen shortly after that.
Dave says, differences last season, everybody knew we had to sign players to replace the ones who left. This season's a complete unknown right now. That's true. Riff says, the free and loan market comment to me sounds like him saying, we're just looking at frees while they're still available, and we're not only going to be buying frees. When you talk about experiences, Josh, what would you prefer? Someone over 26 because they have had more seasons, or someone under 25 that's still experienced of playing 2 to 3 seasons at this level, i.e. a Phillips, a Cashin, or a Hughes? That's a good point, really, because we talk about experience and that somebody like a young Tyler Binden could do with an experienced head next to him. Well, Anel is what, 25 now? 26 maybe? So in years, you'd say he's quite an experienced player now in terms, not super experienced. I think that comes to 27, 28, 29, but he's a full-blown professional player, done it probably 10 years now. He doesn't necessarily strike me as being the sort of teaching father figure that you'd want alongside. So I think it depends on the personality, really, because like Josh says here in his example, Ash Phillips has had 2 seasons in Championship, and what's he, 1920? Cashin, who was at Derby, now at Brighton, who I think would have been a superb signing for us. He's had experience through the leagues as well. Charlie Hughes at Hull has had a couple of decent seasons, one in League One, one now in the Championship with Hull. So what is experience? Well, the experience that I'm talking about is somebody like Rob Holding, who's played 100 Premier League games and has captained Arsenal and has captained Bolton before that. Harry Souter, who came in and proved his leadership qualities by talking Gilchrist through strong performances. Robinson knew where he needed to be, and Nell knew where he needed to be when he were playing alongside Harry Souter. I think Harrison Burrows looked a lot more assured as well when that back line was as strong as it is. That's the sort of influence I'm talking about personally. But you do make a good point, Josh, in terms of experience doesn't have to be defined by age. Dave, you nodded along with that. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think experience. It's the worry with some of these young, too many young ones, is that they've not been there and done that. They don't necessarily have to be 30, 32, and towards the end of their career. I think you just want them to have a little bit of experience in doing the things you've talked about from a leadership perspective. And you don't have to have done it for 5 years. You can demonstrate in 6 months that you can do it, but they need to have, I guess by experience, they need to have shown those qualities at some form of reasonable level.
Liam joins and says, evening lads, hope you're all well. I'm worrying like mad, still think we need another right back and another centre back, 2 more centre midfielders, one to replace Vinny, another right winger, 2 left wingers, and maybe a striker. I'm being daft, but injuries bite us a lot, and suspensions just hope it's not true about frees and loans. Otherwise, forget the top 2. Up all the rambles, up the blades. So Liam thinks we need an awful lot. Another right back. Right back, I agree with. 2 centre backs, I don't agree with because I think Robinson will stay for the season.
Unless one of them leaves.
Yeah, but as it stands,
that we've got.
I think 4 in total. Yeah. So that's 2. Centre midfielder to replace Vinny. I'm not. Yeah, possibly.
Well, yeah.
Another right winger.
Yeah.
And 2 left wingers, and maybe a striker. I don't think we need a striker. And the winger situation is purely dependent on what Sayers sees in the lads that are already here, and that is a huge unknown for us.
We're assuming he doesn't fancy the likes of
all 4 of them, really. When I say 4,
Andrew Brooks.
Yeah, when I say 4, it's Brooks, Caceres, Ukaki, and Chukwu. So if he don't fancy any of those 4, then we need 4 wingers. But chances are he probably does see 1 or 2 of them involved. So you're not far, Liam. It were quite a shocking thing to sort of read, but you're maybe not far off. I think you're maybe 2 or 3 in front of me where I think we need to be.
But maybe a striker, Annie, which,
yeah.
To be fair, I think I know what you said about Cannon, and you're not going to go out to spend 10 million quid on one when you've got him. But if somebody comes along that you like,
maybe a loan, mate. Maybe a loan if the ideal striker comes up on loan. But again, you're nudging out your £10 million man, aren't you? We will want him to be a success because of the money we've paid. We
do, but sometimes maybe he doesn't. Maybe he moves on, and he's been here 6 months. But I think if there's somebody out there who's absolutely outstanding, just because we've got Cannon there, I don't think that means that we'd back away from it. I think if we think, hang on, we've got to go for this, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Scott says PSV are spending at the minute €16 million on Van Bommel, 10 million on a centre-back. Also, PSV are in talks with Plea, a Bundesliga attacker, rumoured to be playing behind the striker. I think Davey's right. I don't think Hamer fits the model. Well, they're spending an awful lot of money then, aren't they? None of that. We would want more than that for Gus Hamer than they've spent on any of those players anyway. So it would have to be their statement signing. Hang on, I think people are just getting to my Oasis story. Danny's laughing his head off. Little Jim got what he wanted, only Mountain. That story's annoyed me. Tried for hours for tickets. I'll FaceTime you, Meldrew. Just remember it's a marathon, not a sprint, says Bry. Don't expect us to win straight away. Sheila's Wheel says defensively we're not strong. We're still not sure of Tyler. I'm all right with that. You're still keeping Robbo as replacement if Anel or Tyler is unfit. I think we will keep Robbo. I don't think anybody's going to come in and pay the money to take him out of Sheffield United. I don't think anybody will match his wages because he's on big money. And I'm not sure somebody will come and pay it. Maybe a Birmingham or somebody like that, possibly. But I think Jack Robinson stays and sees out this extra year on his contract. Need to sign a new captain, says D. Experienced centre-back probably for a Nell. And Mark Meldrew's just announcing that Tom Kearney has signed a new 1-year deal at Fulham. Interesting. Brett says he thinks Parkinson and Wrexham get found out this season. They've got a bang average squad for the season. Last few seasons, they were miles ahead. I think it's going to be really tough for them. I think it's going to be really tough for Wrexham this season. Anybody, look, we'll finish on this actually. Any surprise packages you think might be and this might lead on to a 3MB that I'm going to propose to you when we've signed off, lads. But any surprise packages for the Championship this season, club-wise, that you are going under the radar? It's very early days. I appreciate that.
Well, there's the 2 obvious ones that are coming up from League One where they are a little bit of an unknown quantity. So it'll be intriguing to see how Birmingham and Wrexham get on. I think that Swansea, for me, looks set to improve. I think they've
agreed.
Recruitment. Derby seem to be signing everyone who's in the mid-30s, but going for loads of experience. Carlton Morris is a great signing for them as well.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be okay. It'd be interesting, Jamie. There's always one that comes from nowhere.
There is.
Norwich would be mine if they invest the Signs and Sargent. If the Sargent deal goes through, if they spend that wisely, they could maybe.
Nah, mate. Delia wants a cruise, mate. I'm afraid.
Dave,
yes,
you're allowed an opinion, mate. If you think Norwich will do all right, then Norwich might do all right.
You said dark horse, didn't you? So it's not going to be.
I know.
Obvious and go. I think it's going to be.
He'll be coming on in 6 months' time saying that Dave said Norwich were going to win league. Well, that's not what he said, is it, Paolo? Anyway, before we go, let's see a little bit of fresh merch there.
Fresh merch, oh yeah. So, in the spirit of the Rainbow Blades, the little caption underneath, all blades, aren't we? You can't really see it because of the camera position.
What a wonderful design! What a wonderful design
that we've put out. It's quite snazzy. I like it. So yeah, it's a new one. All you need to do, guys, is go to Amazon, put Blades Ramble in, and go and have a look at what's there. There's loads of new ones coming out over the next couple of weeks for the new season. So yeah, if you go over,
I've got my hands on it now. So we'll get some even better designs out there.
And any colours you like, we try and make them available in every colour available under the sun. So yeah, you can be a bit different, do your own
Love
thing
that.
with it.
Love that. Thank you again for the Man Mountain for sorting that out for us. Very much appreciated. Lads, anything else you want to touch on before I let you go?
See what happens. I think there'll be lots to talk about after the next couple of friendlies. I think the next weekend's one could
Yeah,
when do you
next
go
week's
away?
bound to be more interesting than this one, definitely.
Okay.
When do you go, Jim?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen, you know. I'm going on Monday, and it's all going to kick off in it. I've got to take my laptop. I'll be going live from Spain. I'm hoping that a couple of you from the mountains get dropped in while I'm away and stuff like that. Maybe we'll see. We'll see if I can persuade him.
Should we try and do something, Paul, just to keep him going?
Yeah, of course, mate.
Keep the lights on at Ramble HQ while I'm away. Thanks.
Well,
I appreciate that.
the B team, you need squad rotation in pre-season, I've heard. So
Having said that, I might be trying to do it from the pool side as well. So,
yeah, having a pop at me for being away.
Dave,
there
if
you
you
are
come on your
yourself.
speedos, mate, that'll double the subscriptions. That will.
well, I'm not you, so you know.
Right, and on that note, we'll set to our. Right, thank you for joining us, everybody, in the comments. Really appreciate it. Thank you, boys, as ever. The next 3 Mardy Blade, we should be back on Sunday. We're still good to go Sunday, lads, before I go away? That all good in the hood?
I think so. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think so.
Sounds good. Right, so for now, come on, you red and white wizards.
On the blade!